Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to post-episode issues. Vikings, Season 3, Episode 3, Warrior's Face. Fate. Not his face, his fate. But there was a lot of blood and faces going on tonight.
No, one face had a fate worse than, yeah.
Oh, gosh. Oh, that was horrible. Poor Ragnar was so mean to his son. As much as I thought Bjorn was a little weird before in the last episode, and I was hard on Bjorn. Ragnar, this is the most I've hated Ragnar, even though I agreed with him. Even though I agreed with the point he was making, I thought he was a little harsh on the young lad.
He was already feeling guilty.
He was. He rubbed some salt in. Anyways, guys, welcome back to our Vikings recaps. We're getting here right after the episode. I usually have some plans on Thursday evenings that change, so we get out here right after the Vikings broadcast. Really excited to talk about this episode of Vikings.
Yeah.
A lot of really awesome stuff in this episode. This was moving along the plot. Everything's moving at an epic pace. Lagatha fucked the king. The king didn't fuck Lagatha. That's what I loved about that whole situation. When she's sitting there at the end with the blood on her, she's just like, "Yeah, you're my bitch, king. You're my bitch."
He was a little freaked out by that, you think?
Oh yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh, that was amazing. But everyone, if this is your first time checking us out here at the post-episode issues, we like to do recaps of different shows that we're into and come out here and talk about it and tell you guys what we thought of the episode. And we'd love to hear what you thought as well, so please use the comment section whenever you're watching this, or if you're watching us live, use the chat room to tell us what you thought of Vikings and where you hope this season goes from this point on. We got a few hints, a few mentions of the word France tonight, which was exciting.
Yes, I cannot wait for that. I'm very excited for that.
Do you guys think we're going to get to France this season?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we saw it in the previews, or at least I think we saw them fighting at France in the previews. But
it was mentioned.
Maybe that's what we saw now. I don't know. I hope so. I really hope so. I hope it's like the finale. It'll be fun to watch.
It will be. It's good. It's been a very fun first 3 episodes. I'm already digging the vibe of this season and the energy and the pacing of the season more than season 2, and it's on pace if it keeps this up to maybe be my favorite season of Vikings. It's very strong visually and story-wise, as I mentioned at the beginning, just kind of moving along at a really fast, brisk pace. You can see in this episode especially, you really saw where the battle lines are going to set up for the real challenges and what's really important. Last week we talked a lot about Kalf and all the people back home. We spent a good amount of time back home in this episode, and we didn't catch up with those guys once. Where are they with their evil plan?
It's formulating. They're plotting off. They're not in Kattegat, so.
Okay, they're not actually right there.
They're in Lagatha's earldom. Wherever she's from, it's like miles and miles away.
No, I just mean that we didn't catch up with them at all tonight in the episode.
Yeah, which I was fine with that,
Well, they're hanging out, waiting for.
Right, maybe
to get back.
Yeah, they are hanging out, waiting for the Earl to get back, everybody to get back. But maybe they sent this guy to Kattegat. Maybe he's working for them.
Ooh, that's very interesting. That's an interesting angle on it. I didn't think about it. I kind of hope it's something like that because I did enjoy the stuff with the girls and him more than I enjoyed just the dreams last week, but I still wasn't sure exactly where they're going with it, and I'm going to be interested to see. He's an amazing actor, and he brought so much life and energy to the scenes he was in. I'm not sure, but I still feel like it drags away from what I'm interested in the show, but maybe that's just my own personal taste, you know?
Well, in season 1, there was some very, very typical Viking-looking guys in the show, and they were all killed off pretty quick. And I was like, that's interesting. All like the big blonde Norse guys, like the stereotypes of it all, have been murdered, killed in battle. That was pretty quick. And this guy was one of the last of them to go. And then there was the guy that sacrificed himself up at the tree.
Do you think this show at any time soon will kill off any of the main 3 of Floki, Rollo, or Ragnar? Obviously not Ragnar.
If any of them do get killed, my ticket's in for Floki. I wouldn't mind seeing him go. It was one thing the first 2 seasons. I'm just kind of bored of the way he's little bitch. Like,
It's like Christopher with Tony Soprano. He's just constantly Tony.
yeah, it's worse. It's much worse than that. It was okay this second season when you were just hoping he was playing double agent, you know, or spy, and then so that was okay. But now it's carrying through because he's just, you know, he can't stand all the happiness. Oh, okay, right. And now that you're off in battle, you still can't stand all the happiness. Yeah, right. Yeah, you know. I'm not fighting for glory. I'm just fighting. Oh, you know, like,
Shut up, Loki.
yeah.
I love how Ragnar handled him. He's just like, I have it written down
Shut
somewhere.
your face.
Shut your face, you little bitch. He didn't say it, but he might as well have called him a little bitch. So let's get to our opening. We open up to a shot of the mountains where we see the fog moving in and the water, a rainstorm. We're with Helga, Floki's girl, and the stranger. They come along and we see Siggy, and they're all freaked out because they recognize him. They can just look. They're all looking around like, oh my God, we shared this vision and he's here. He says, she introduces him and says he cut his hand, he needs our help, and they all go into action to help him. As Aslog asks him how he hurt his hand, and he says he sleeps rough and caught it on something. Just a weird, shady answers by this guy. Everything he said was a shady fucking answer or turning it into a joke or a story.
Yeah, and the witches at Eastwick are eating it all up. They're loving it.
And the witches of Eastwick, I like that. Rachel61 says Aslog can be killed off. I think her, and I also think Bjorn is very...
Aslog, Bjorn, Floki, all these three, they could go. Yeah, I'd be upset if Lagatha went, or if
Siggy.
Siggy,
Rollo. I would be upset if
Rollo. Right.
Rollo's like my favorite
I'm a Rollo
character.
fan. He's redeemed himself from his past errors.
Yeah, I just like his arc. I like watching where he's gone, and I understand a lot of his motivations for everything he did along the way.
I love him last week. God, that fucking leg. It was at a wrong. I didn't like the angle it was at.
That was awesome. It was fucking awesome. So Aslog asked him how he hurt his hand. He said he caught it on something. Bullshit. His name is...
The fucked up thing is nobody questioned him. Nobody from the other army. Nobody got up and was like, he's on our side. Why'd you do that? Put him in shackles. He's crazy. They just like, okay, yeah.
More mushrooms, please.
This guy's name is Harbord or something like that. They all look. Siggy asks him why he sleeps rough. He says he's a wanderer and he sleeps with the cattle for warmth. It's all the same to me wherever I sleep. And Siggy, who's just awesome with calling people out on bullshit. It's one of the actress's traits and everything she's in. She's just will call you on shit. And she says, "Is that really true?" And he goes, "No, I prefer to." Lay in the straw. This is one of those guys that seems like he says one thing, and then if you call him on it, he goes, "Oh, actually, what I meant was XYZ." He's got an answer for everything. This guy.
Yeah, he's a storyteller, you know, and he's a bard. You can't really.
He's
good at telling stories. It means he's good at lying.
Yeah, a good charmer. An actor is a liar. An actor is a liar by trade. And he says he gets by on his charm, his stories, as Joe said. And Aslog, of course, being the wonderful person she is, asks him to stay because she's just so useful to every situation.
The other witches didn't like that.
No, what the fuck's she doing?
They're very upset about it.
Do you think?
All the men are gone.
Yeah. She does. We're completely defenseless. Nothing but old men and women in town.
Now, do you think she had him stay because she had a further premonition that he was going to help the baby?
I don't know. Help the baby?
Or whatever he did to the baby?
Yeah.
Whatever. You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
What happened to the other two kids? Stranger shows up, two boys are drowned in the river.
Yeah, what is this, Friday the 13th?
And he's in their hut petting another little child. Right.
This guy's got...
I would never hurt your children. I love them, man.
We're carrying this over from another show, but don't trust anybody in the Viking world either, man. No, don't trust anybody around here, especially
strangers that come out of nowhere bleeding. Like, yeah, come on in, don't worry about it.
That you have
to you.
that you and your two friends have dreams about too, about the same situation. Ray, if someone asks you for God, you say yes. If someone like that shows up that you've been dreaming about, you kick his ass out.
Yes.
Do not fall into the prophecy thing. Don't do that. Just say no.
Just say no.
Just say no. And so they offer him a bed of straw. So we go to Wessex, and King Ecbert, he notices his men kind of talking behind his back, and he turns around and calls. He's like, "Why don't you talk to my face? Don't talk."
Dude, he lays the thunder down.
Dude, he kicks some ass. He had some balls. Not that he's the king. He can show balls anytime he wants, but he really called them out right there. I thought he was going to go all Joffrey. And
it was just pretty interesting that later on in the episode, you know, after he finished, he's like, basically, you know, they're like, yeah, you know, they're pagans. If their God doesn't if our God doesn't win, they'll take over. This isn't good. We're giving up our land. What's the matter with you? And he basically lays out the whole plan. You know, they're gonna give us most of England. Who cares if we give them a couple of acres over here by the frickin' coast of some okay farmland that nobody's really fucking using? We displaced a couple of fucking families. These people are happy. They're going to go, half of their warriors are going to die winning us the biggest share of this frickin' island that we live on. Shut the fuck up, you pricks.
Fighting for, as he puts it, the puppet princess.
Right.
Specifically calls her the puppet princess.
Yep.
And it gives us
a handful. Once she actually has her power, she's going to be a handful. But the thing is the uncle and the brother just completely killed off most of the fighting men in Wessex or whatever, Mercia, fighting the Vikings now.
Yeah, so basically it just sets up Ecbert to be the most powerful entity with the most powerful together army, because he didn't sacrifice any of his men in this situation. Anybody that could oppose him just lost a bunch of people. So he's putting himself in the best position. He's like, guys, don't be a dumbass. You're not looking at the big long con here. You're getting caught up in simple results. And I mean, we're jumping ahead a lot tonight, so it doesn't matter. But ultimately, I think by the end of the episode, Ecbert's more on their side and being like, I feel so weird working with these pagans. He had his fun with Lagatha. He got what he wanted. Everything was already worked out. He can't wait to get out of this deal and fuck these people.
Right, now that part's done.
Yeah, he was a little freaked out. The blood thing kind of freaked him out. That was a little too much.
Wait, what with that stuff?
That went a little too far for him.
He's like, just put my penis in.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not into that. But that's okay. Bathhouse Roman fun with weird Viking chicks. That I'm into. The blood cover. That's no. So yeah, the king says, don't forget we're fighting a war for the puppet princess, and who's here dumb enough to not give up a few farms for most of England, as Joe said, you stupid asshats. And then he kind of dares them all to, who here will dare say anything against me, and if you do, I'm going to drag you out in the concrete and piss on your fucking face or something. You know, no one's stupid enough to try to fuck with this guy at this point. So we go over to Mercia, and we see one of our Floki being a bitch scenes. Floki asking Ragnar, why are we fighting for... I'm sorry, I'll never do those accents again. Why are we fighting for these Christians? It doesn't make any sense. We're doing Ecbert's dirty work. Ragnar says it's... Which I don't necessarily understand. I understand what Ragnar's saying, and I understand Loki's not looking at the bigger picture. I understand where they're both coming from here. Ragnar says it's about our children and their children. I don't want to always be at war with the Christians. But Floki says that's insane. Our God won't get along with their God. One must prevail. And if you back that Christ God, which is his thing for the season, calling it the Christ God, he's kind of always said, but he's saying it with such disdain now. The Christ God, it means the ends to our destruction for our God. And Ragnar says, if you don't want to fight, don't fight. You know, that's basically Ragnar in a sentence right there. If you want to fight, don't fight. Right. I don't give a shit. Do what you want.
Yeah, he's not going to force anybody to do anything. That's not what, he may be king, but he doesn't have choice over your will.
But
he kind of lays that out for him too.
In fairness, though, when it does come down to that, we all knew that person growing up that just knew how to influence you in the bad way. They never made you do anything, but just by hanging out and just in the nick of time, they'd make you wanna just make the stupidest mistake. just to follow them because they're charismatic or something. And Ragnar does have a little bit of this, and he plays the whoa, why are you following me? There's nothing awesome happening here. When he knows he's the coolest guy in town, and he knows everyone wants to follow him. He's playing a little bit like I'm awesome.
Of course they want to follow him.
And he knows it. He knows if they don't follow him, they're gonna be outcasts of his group. He knows Rollo and Torstein and Floki need to fight with him. They're not gonna say no.
Of course they're not. He's the king.
Yep. It's good to be the king.
It's fucking good to be the king, man.
So Rollo interrupts them and says, "We have to climb a mountain, and we might not make it. So let's try to get along." Rollo, all he cares about is that everyone that spits into the cup gets along. If you spit into the cup, we all need to rub the spit on ourselves and get along. That's the most important thing here. And Ragnar, for the first time in a long time, says, "Well said, brother." He gave his brother something. He's like. He's like, "Here, Joe, have a sip of this beer. I know you're thirsty. Have one sip."
Rollo's being every bit his brother should be in this season.
He's been humbled.
Yeah.
He's been humbled. Very much so.
He sees exactly what his brother's accomplished, in spite of all the odds and everything. I think he's I like you said before, I like his character arc. I didn't like him necessarily season 1. He did some pretty fucked up shit. Season 2, he was doing more fucked up shit, or started with some fucked up shit, but he got his redemption by the end. He's back in my book. He's up there.
Yeah, I feel like they were playing with some weird things with him at the beginning because they weren't sure how far they wanted to take the brother conflict. Like with his relationship with Lagatha, that was a little bit at the beginning of this first season, and they stretched it out a little bit. But then once he started to interact with Siggy, it just sort of disappeared that he had this love for Lagatha since he was young, and he almost would always try to kind of force himself on her a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
They kind of haven't touched upon that, and I thought that would be a bigger issue along the storyline, and I'm glad it wasn't, but I think it's something that they were playing with early on.
Right.
B-Track says, "Good luck with the cast, guys. Haven't seen the episode yet, so I'll comment later." Yeah, this is a rarity that we'll be doing the Vikings cast right afterwards. Otherwise, I'd be coming home from band practice. I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm drunk at band practice. Let's talk about Vikings." So usually we do it on Friday evenings or afternoons. So this is a rare occasion that we're doing it live afterwards. So Floki goes off angry. He stomps his feet and goes, I'm leaving, and walks off. So we go to Bjorn and his girl, and he's rubbing.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he storms off. In a huff.
Yeah, it's always Marcia. Marcia gets everything.
It was kind of Janbury. I honestly, I guess I'm not as sick of Loki. I just called him Loki again. I kind of like it because I think you need it in the group. You need some dissension, and I guess this isn't something coming out of nowhere. He's always been this kind of asshole, and he's always been digging in, especially about the religious stuff from again something that we dropped from the early seasons when Rollo got baptized, and he was given Rollo shit for a whole season about being baptized. It's kind of a ongoing thing.
He's an antagonist. He's mischief. He causes shit.
Right.
He's his namesake. For sure, he's the fake Floki, the faux Floki. And
it kind of also connects to the first scene we really saw in the season with him saying, or one of the first time we saw him this season when he was complaining about being too happy and in too good of a place. So he's also in some part of him self-destructing and knowing and simultaneously doing things he knows that will lead to conflict because things are too good, so I need to fuck with things.
Hell yeah.
So speaking of a big fucked up situation about to happen, we go to Bjorn and his girl, and very, very, very prosthetic. He's rubbing blood all over her face, and they're doing.
They're getting ready for war. They're
doing the thing. Yeah,
they're flirting while they're getting battle ready.
And again, Ragnar gives them
They're teasing the battle out of each other.
Yeah, they're getting excited for for what's to come after the battle, for the excitement, because there's nothing better than there's makeup sex, there's death sex, but there's like post battle sex and victory sex. That's some hot stuff right there. So we go to So also Ragnar walks past them while they're doing their whole flirty, bloody thing that they're doing, and he's like, "Are you done yet? Are you finished?"
Yeah, he's disgusted by it.
He's so disgusted by this shit.
The lovey-dovey shit is for when we're back at home, not while we're fucking out warring.
And this is one of the things I really do love about this show. If they start a thread, that most likely, at least within the context of a season to season, they're completely different universes sometimes from things that happen. But within the actual season, they'll always finish a thread. And they made sure they showed you last episode Ragnar looking at him on the battlefield and giving that little sneer about the way he was protecting her and watching her. And they connected it to this episode and gave you the payoff of Ragnar being a dick to him eventually and just letting it all out. Like, you're not my son. You're
no, it's not that you're not my son. I'm just so ashamed of who my son is.
I can't believe you're my son is exactly what he said.
Right. You're such a little Sally boy. If you had any balls, your fucking pregnant wife wouldn't be sitting here with her face half cut off and her fucking and the other half of her face bashed in through the back of her fucking skull. She'd be at home letting your fucking child be born healthy. But you're too much of a fucking pansy to tell her where she should be.
You know what, Lagatha is more of a badass than this girl will ever be, and Ragnar made sure she stayed home on that first trip to England because he didn't want her.
Here's the thing. I think it's the smart thing to do, and that's one of the reasons why she's so much more badass than this woman will ever be, is because she probably had the fucking brains in her head to say, I'm pregnant with, Ragnar's fucking kids. Maybe I should stay home while he goes and wins us a fortune so that we can live off of.
Yeah, that's why she's one of my favorite characters on television right now. I really love her, and she took it to another level in this episode of my love for her as just a fucking entity, as a force of nature. She's fucking awesome. But we'll get to that too. So Ragnar goes and Tornstein's laying down and he's still alive watching them. And
yeah, I thought he was dead last season.
Me too. I thought so as well. And he calls out to Rollo and he says, "I want to fight. Let me come with you. I can stand up, you bastard. Look, I'm standing, and I've never been better."
I can fight. If I can stand, I can fight. I don't need two arms.
And it ends up
a frickin' flesh wound, dude. It's a scratch. Let's go.
Yeah, come on. I dipped in the salt water. I'm fine. And I forgot to mention that Princess Crazy Pants comes up to Ragnar and asks him to make sure she spares his brother, Daggard, or whatever his name is. Baggard.
I love Princess Crazy Pants.
She's awesome.
Don't kill my brother, even though he spent my childhood raping me. Please don't kill him.
It's a twisted relationship for me.
Yeah, I don't know how much I buy anything this Crazy Pants is spelling.
Well, he rolls his eyes, and then when he gives the order, everybody else rolls their eyes.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. We're we gotta keep this guy alive now. And those are some good We'll get to it, but those are some good archers to kill everyone around him, but not scratch him. Those are some top-notch archers. That's a bunch of Legolases right there. That's some badassery. So we go to Ecbert, King Ecbert approaching the farmland as Lagatha greets him, and this is where we finally, they didn't make it last long. Again, one of the reasons I fucking love this show. They knew that the translating Athelstan translating, it was really breaking up the scenes, and they just got rid of it.
They moved it along. We were all about that last week. We were saying, hey, this is getting old. They need to move it along. So they went back and they filmed a scene for us, added it to this episode that moved this shit along.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know all the English, but I certainly know more than I did last episode, guys.
Joe, again, personally, you, Joe Dirty Locks, you created change, just like the Carol thing.
We.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Thank you for giving me credit as well. But we created change, my friend. We did it. Yes, we can. So
it just goes to show you can change TV land.
You can, just by bitching.
Not only Nielsen. You can too.
Exactly. Rachel says exactly that's why she's no Lagatha. Exactly, perfect. That is why I'm questioning that the brother even raped her. Why would she not want to kill him? That's what I was hinting at without calling her a straight out liar. I don't I don't disagree that maybe something weird happened to this girl. I just don't think maybe she raped her brother.
You know, you're talking about a long ass time ago too, where and for you know, noble people back then, and I don't know, weird shit. They did weird shit, you know.
Yeah, it was a different time. Again, we talk about this a lot when we're talking about certain shows. We sometimes put our own sensibilities, not the sensibilities of what things were at the time.
You got to remember, a lot of our child protection laws, they're new to the 1900s. They're not, you know, like, been around for a long time.
And this is America, not like Wessex.
Right, England, you know, hundreds and hundreds of years.
Before it was one country, you know, it's like before even that, before it was all different provinces, you know, different countries. But still, but just from the simple standpoint of what Rachel was saying, I agree with that. It makes me, her reaction and the way she was with her brother and the way she thought about her uncle in a completely different way. Her uncle definitely did some shit to her. Her brother, she seems to maybe, I don't know, maybe she was the instigator and she just lumped him in. I don't know. There's some hinky stuff going on.
We don't know about who
forced the kid to it.
I don't know. She just seems to me, I think she's going to end up being
Stockholm
weirder.
syndrome. We all know what that is. She got Patty Hursted. Is that the right one? Patty Hearst, you know.
It looks like he's the one that gets Stockholm syndrome. It looks like he just goes with whoever is leading the charge.
Well, it doesn't. He definitely didn't seem like he has much of a brain in his head.
No, or balls or backbone. He seems he just goes with whoever pushes him in the right direction.
He ran away when they came to the beach, along with all his men.
Yeah, and like he allowed her to drag him over there. Now you apologize to Ragnar right away. You do it. You say you're sorry. You know, and
you forgive me.
Yeah, he's kind of too pathetic to kill.
Yeah, he is. He's way too pathetic to kill. So Ecbert's approaching the farmland. Agatha greets him, and she can speak the language now. They got rid of that. She put in the universal translator from Star Trek in her throat. And he brought his nobles to check out the land, and brought more gifts. As the priest walks up, and they see that it's a new kind of plow that will dig deeper and turn the soil, and she's like, oh, this is going to help. She's very happy to get plowed, and all of her people grab it.
Yeah.
And then he says, and then before I even
what great foreshadowing it was, right?
That's what I'm saying. I wrote that down before the next line came out, and then he says, I want to experiment and plow and fertilize and sow a seed inside you.
Baby, I want to plow you.
Yeah, he just and you're right, Joe. He says it like that too. He goes, and I want to plow and fertilize.
Maybe smear some manure up in there.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And she's like, yeah, you're into that dirty stuff, like cow blood? Are you into cow blood too? Because I'm totally into cow blood. And he invites her and the priest over anytime they want to get some action. He basically gives them a license to fuck. He's like, anytime you guys want to come over, it's on. It's fucking on, and it's gonna be hot. Pool party, exactly. Roman bath pool party. So they go to more thought. We get a commercial break again.
I love how he says everything else was in ruins, but we kept the bathhouse.
Yeah. Of course he did. Of course he did.
And he brings her to the frescoes first with the boobs out. Look, baby, it's gonna be fun. It's like, check out my museum pieces. Yeah, I'm the king.
You're better at history than me. Did the Romans have even basic working plumbing?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So they didn't use the plumbing. They didn't keep the plumbing, but they kept the bathhouses. The only thing
they had some like, they didn't have like flushing toilets at the time.
No, but they had like
they had aqueducts and cisterns and ways to move the water around the city and stuff like that.
So basically, like early rounds of SimCity stuff, like when you could do like basic building and stuff. So
they would most likely have to drain that pool by buckets.
By buckets? That's what I was wondering. How's
sophisticated drainage and sewage systems?
It'd be interesting. I'm just.
They did have sewers and things. Yep.
You watched Rome. I didn't. That's why I ask.
HBO is notoriously accurate with their programming.
Very accurate with history. So So yeah, we go to the more foggy lands as we come back from a commercial break, as the Vikings and the English are climbing the mountain, going to after Prince Boggart or whatever the hell his name is. So Bjorn's sneaking up first to see, and they don't see anybody, but they listen. But Ragnar knows through the Force something that there are people up there. He can kind of just feel them in the wind because he's a descendant from Odin. And Tornstein says he'll go up there and sacrifice himself to make them show themselves, which is a good plan, and again really made sense for him to come along, just because why not sacrifice yourself and die in battle, because that's really the most honorable way that you can go. And
yeah, but he's got wives and kids at home that he needs to bring his share of the fucking fortune back for, and yada yada. I don't know. I wasn't too impressed with the whole let me drag my ass up the mountain and kill myself. I was kind of let down by it, but and I understand that that's the whole thing behind the culture and all that, and that's what we're all taught. But I mean,
Joe, I'm looking behind me at that guy. Oh, the point worked. There he is, Worf, a Klingon. These are Klingon warriors. They want to die in battle. They don't want to die laying down, surviving as long as they can until they can get to a metal doctor. He wants to die in serving some use, and he did. He let them a funny joke or two. Where he got to kill one guy. I mean, at least he got to kill one guy before he went. So,
he called on Odin.
What was that?
He called on Odin.
Yeah, he did.
Odin gave him the death that he deserved. And here's the thing. Floki's whole argument about, so he dies. He charges, he dies. Floki's like all, this is your fault, Ragnar. He's dead and died for nothing, for, no riches, but to help these Christians. This is foolish and it's all your fault. And it's like, but he was fighting for big pieces of land that is supposed to be staying with, the Viking peoples on this island to be farmed forever, which is almost priceless.
It's very true.
He didn't die for nothing. He died for land, which is...
Floki doesn't get that. Again, even when Ragnar breaks it down to him, explains to him what this is for, he doesn't want his people to... All Floki knows is destruction and war, and looks at these people in the same way that some of them look at them as heathens, as people that are working against his gods that are so important to him. Ragnar's looking at it in the more big picture.
Right, because they all know that the way for these people to finally sustain themselves, and the reason why they've been started migrating in the first place and all this, was to find land that they could farm, because the areas they're from are very mountainous and they're not great farmland.
Miles, welcome to the first time in the chat room. Thank you so much for joining us right after Vikings, and or it was by a stream. Yeah, it could have been by a stream as well. But thank you for joining us for the first time live after Vikings. We really do appreciate it. So yeah, I see what you're saying. Floki is it was almost like in that moment he was just angry and casting out Ragnar and needed to be as bitchy as possible for stupid reasons. But again, he's just not looking at the big picture of the situation, I think. He's looking at it very basic and in the same way that a lot of the guys, the English soldiers, what's his name's son? The king's son is thinking about it. I forget his name. He's just thinking, oh, God, I just want to kill these people, these fucking heathens. He can't look past the fact that they're even helping him in the war, and a lot more of their men are dying than his own men are dying.
Right. Well, he's very jealous of a lot of things, and their physical warrior prowess is definitely one of them. And they fought each other. Remember when they first came ashore, he was the first person that encountered them in one of those battles, one of the first.
And they're so civilized.
Right,
I'll see you soon, Igor. How do you pronounce that, man? Igor.
Igor.
Have a good night, my friend.
He pronounced it out for us before.
What was that?
He pronounced it out for us before.
I know, I'm horrible. I'm horrible. I never learned to read, Joe. I never learned to read.
I'm still calling it Mayberry.
You can call it Mayberry all you want. So Bjorn is sneaking up and he's saying he climbs up and Bjorn decides to walk away and go. Not Bjorn. Tornstein decides to walk towards them all and make them all show themselves. And they all kind of look and say goodbye to their friend. He climbs up, he looks over the edge, and he sees archers, and they see the one-armed man, and they're kind of asking each other, is this a joke or whatever? And he just keeps walking towards them, and they fire arrows at him.
Yeah, is this magic? Is he a sorcerer? Huh?
And they fire arrows, but he's able to block most of them as they start laughing at him again, and they shoot him again, and this time they get him in the legs, but as he keeps walking towards, and then he finally falls, and they go, he's no shaman. As he gets ready to go home to Odin, they approach him, giggling to kill him, and he's able to kill one of them, and then the two of them get him, and he dies.
Yeah.
But then the rest of the men kind of charge up, and
I gotta say, I loved the shot, the effects of the blood seeping up into the shirt.
yeah, very.
I like that. Fell to his back, wounded from the big sword cutting. And you just saw his burlap shirt, and it just filled inside with blood and soaked through. It was pretty cool. I dug it.
So as the rest of the men charge, they try to arrow them down, but they just keep coming. All right, now we see our soldiers kicking some ass, especially Rollo. When he's in battle, I just love watching this guy kick some ass. It's like watching Thor in the Avengers movies. He's just whooping some serious ass. It's a total
swing a fucking axe.
Oh, he's killing it, and it's just a bloodbath, slow motion, tribal music, the usual Vikings fare.
I like that they have he's swinging an axe, but it's not like one of these huge looking battle axes that.
No, it's a real fucking axe.
It's an axe, right?
Yeah, it's a real axe.
I'm gonna cut your fucking in half axe. I'm gonna cut the wood axe. I'm gonna cut this axe. I'm gonna kill people axe.
Again, it's a relatively historically accurate.
Yeah, I dug it.
Looking axe, and yeah, he just kicks ass. And again, what you expect from an awesomely shot Vikings action scene here: slow motion stops, freeze frame type stuff, super awesome tribal music kicking, and the
only thing I don't like about the fight scenes is they do a lot of that shaky camera.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big fan. I want to see the people moving, not the camera moving. It doesn't add action in my mind. It takes away. It hurts my eyes.
But
all in all, it's still a great battle scene. Every single one of them, they've done it really well.
So slowly but surely, of course, as usual, the Vikings start to battle their way through with the help of the guys from the Wessex army. But it's not a complete rout. I mean, they're losing some men. The rest of the men charge them down, but Bjorn's girl ends up getting into a big fucking fight with one guy that's getting the best of her, punches her in the face a bunch of times, takes her down to the ground. She's knocked out.
Gets her a big slash across her face or her neck or something.
Yeah, she gets. It wasn't exactly clear what happened to her in the battle, what exactly happened. You just know she went down and
hard. He got her with a couple of solid punches in the face.
Yeah,
he was about to finish her off when Bjorn was fucking sees and gives him a nice shoulder tackle. Spears him, takes him down.
And yeah, so then Bjorn comes out of nowhere and beats the shit out of the guy and takes him down. And she's not. I wrote that she's knocked down at least, maybe worse. So as we see them charging the battlefield some more, a spear almost hits Ragnar, but it hits the person next to him. And then another one comes.
Which was another woman warrior.
A little girl who ran in front of them.
Yep. There was another girl warrior.
And then another spear comes down, and this was one of the shots that they showed in the scenes for next week, where you see Ragnar kind of dodging the spear. It's like a freeze frame for a second of him just doing a Matrix-y dodging of the spear coming at him, and it looks like as they're approaching, as they're killing the first wave, you see what looks like an overwhelming source of army men that are soldiers that are guarding the prince.
Oh, and it was a lot. It looked overwhelming at first. Yeah.
It was. I was like, oh shit, they're fucked.
They're fucked.
They're fucked. I was like, oh god, they're fucked. And then when Ecbert's son showed up with the archers in back. At first, I didn't know that they were his archers.
Same here. I thought they were getting ready to shoot down the Vikings.
The Vikings, I was like, oh god, and the way they shot it was done really well to make you not realize what was happening exactly until the last minute. It really set it up well. And then behind them, you see Ecbert's son, who just has doubt in his eye in that way that you can really good acting moment by this guy, and I think he's bringing a lot to the table. Of his looks, of without having to say anything, showing exactly how he felt, and he just got this look on his face like, I can't believe I'm firing on my own countrymen, essentially, for these Vikings, when I should be where I should be just ordering my men to shoot all these.
See, that's where he doesn't get it either. He didn't do a good enough job, Ecbert, explaining to his own son exactly why his plan is.
That's why he obviously has so little respect for his son that he doesn't mind facilitating trying to get his son's wife to cheat on him. I mean, he's probably like, priest, you're the son I wish I had, so you can fuck my son's daughter.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, Athelstan, I like you so much better than my son. You know why? I send my son off to hopefully get killed in battle. So, or whatever. I mean, who knows what he thinks about his son.
Dies one too many times in a Viking.
Yeah. So it's So they have the higher ground, and they end up shooting down all of. We talked a little bit about this before, and this is where the order comes out to not shoot down the prince, and all their men have like the best ranged arrows in the world, and they just kill all the men around the prince, and then he goes, I surrender, don't kill me, my hands up. And then it was kind of funny. All the soldiers just all put their hands up, and they're all like, "Oh, we give up, we give up."
God, just don't kill me.
Just don't kill me, please. I surrender. Just don't kill me. And to be honest, when they didn't kill him, he looked surprised.
Oh yeah.
He looked shithouse surprised. He was like, "What? Uncle, Uncle." I'm so craven. He is. He's like super craven. Sorry, all credit goes to Josh Wigler for that impression. I was doing an impression of someone doing an impression of him entirely. So as we know, a copy of a copy is never as good as the original copy. So we go to Ecbert's palace, where he's showing Athelstan and Lagatha a Roman bathhouse because that's the kind of guy he is. He's showing her the.
He rolls.
Yeah, that's how he rolls. She's showing him the pagan Roman gods, as he says they're kind of like your gods, and she says not like my gods, and there is real. My gods are real to me, and this is at the exact point where I think she realized this before, but it's the exact point in the episode where she's like, you know what, tonight's the night I'm gonna have this man. I want to have this man tonight. And she made the decision. You saw a look in her eye. It was like a shift where she's like, yeah, this is a good place. She's looking around the bathhouse. She's like, because she flirts a little bit, and she
knows what makes a man question God.
Absolutely. So we go back home to. This is probably the scene of the episode I have the littlest detail written about because I couldn't keep track of this motherfucker's story. I was like, am I really writing down the details of the story that this guy's telling?
So I got the story.
Okay,
you correct me with your notes if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Okay, so he found Asgard. He went to the place where basically the sea goes to Asgard, and he got there. And when he got there, he found this strip of land, and on the strip of land were giants, and these giants were resting on benches. And when he looked at these giants, he said, I think that one's the king. So he walked up to the king, and he said, you know what? I am better than you, king. And he said, oh, yeah? He goes, yeah, in fact, I'm so good at drinking, I can outdrink all you giants. So the king giant said, hey, yo, bitch, fetch me my horn of ale. And the giant said, okay, if you're so good, every one of us can drink this horn in 3 gulps. Here you go. And so I took that horn, and I drank until I couldn't drink anymore, until I was out of breath. And when I looked down, I couldn't believe it. There was only the littlest bit gone from this cup. Oh, my goodness, I couldn't believe it. And I almost passed out. I drank so much. I was pissing while I was drinking. I was drinking so much. And then I said, you know what, King? The king said, you know, maybe maybe we should try a different challenge. He said, yes, I can out-wrestle any of you. And so the king said, all right, and out walked this old, crippled, crone old woman with a cane, and she could barely walk, and he jumped on this giant old woman, and he tried to take her down, but as soon as he grabbed her, he noticed that she was very strong, and she popped him in a headlock, and then dropped him on the floor, and he tried to climb back up, and they were wrestling around. Before he knew it, he had to take a knee.
Because all of us, no one can withstand old age in the end.
And well, the king says, you know, and he says to the king, I'm so sorry, king, I wasn't able to, you know, beat both of your challenges. He says, hey, kid, don't be sorry. You know, that horn of ale, I can't believe you drank that much. The other end of it was attached to the oceans, and when you leave here, you'll see that you drained some of the oceans.
Yep.
And then, when you attacked the old woman, you know, that just wasn't any old woman. That was just old age to begin with. And nobody can withstand the ravishes of old age. And you withstood it for how long? Oh, unbelievable how long you withstood old age. And so that was it. And then the girl that he's telling the stories to is like, not Siggy, I think it was the other one. It was
Helga.
Says, hey, you know, ooh, you didn't do that. That wasn't you.
You're Thor. You're Thor, God of Thunder. And he says, yes, it's true. I'm not... yes, I am Thor. And he goes, no, I wasn't Thor, but I was there. And then it changes to, I was there. Yep. Sure you were. You fucking lying sack.
But I'm pretty sure that was the story.
Yeah, you were very, very close. Very close. Very good job, Joe. Good monologue by Joe. Joe's delivering it as good as a expert actor. And it's fair to say that this guy, the actor, I don't have his name in front of me, he delivered an excellent performance. He's bringing a lot to this character, and I love it. I like this actor a lot. In fact,
he's good.
He's one of those guys that I hope, depending on how long he lasts here, I would like to see him on. I think he might be a good candidate for, not to get too into it, and people will know from the little I'm going to say, for some characters in the future of the Walking Dead world. I'd like to see, I could see him playing a few future characters. So I'd love to see him in some of the other worlds that we talk about. I always enjoy his performances.
His name is Kevin Durand.
Great actor, and he if anybody could make me care about these scenes, it's him, and I cared about them a lot more tonight because I thought he brought a lot to the table, and they were more about him than anybody else, and a lot more Siggy rather than Aslog stuff. Siggy was the kind of the pushing force. You could see her making which it should be. She's the smartest of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's clearly. She's on the level of she's even smarter than she's probably the smartest person in town when it really comes down to it.
Oh, he was in your Lost.
Yes, he was in Lost. He played. I don't want to spoil. It's been long enough to spoil Lost. He plays a really crazy military soldier in Lost that goes completely badass.
Yeah, I liked him in SG-1.
So I'm excited about this actor, and it gives me hope for this storyline. We got a couple of laughs out loud for Joe's rant, I believe, or for Joe's depiction of the monologue. We got a couple of good those. That means success, Joe. That means success. LOL means lovely onslaught of loveliness. So as we hear the baby cry, it's Ivar is the baby's name, I believe.
Oh yeah, because he's got the R in his eye.
And he says, is that
see why they named him?
He says, is that your baby crying? I need to see him. And as he takes the baby,
I need to go pet your baby.
And I need to go. All the pain's going away. No more pain. No more pain. The baby.
How many boys you got back there?
And he says the baby stops crying, and then he starts doing see, when someone says this, they're hypnotizing you. Getting very sleepy. You're getting good.
He hypnotized Ivar.
Yep, he did. He totally hypnotized him, and he put him to bed. And they all look at him dumbfounded. How'd you put the baby to bed? And he didn't answer. It just cuts. So then we cut to Agatha.
Back to the bathhouse.
we get to the point, and yes, dirty old man time, that we're getting to the one part of the episode where I wish we were on HBO. So that's all I want to say about that. So we get to Lagatha who's like, whoa, this is really a big bath. Actually, it's not quite to that part yet. Excuse me. And she splashes as King Ecbert says, "Who will join me?" As we cut quickly, and we get the four of them basically having a double date in the bath.
Yeah, drinking wine. They're all butt naked in the water, coupled up too.
Yep. But Ecbert's telling Lagatha about Paris and giving her the age-old, have to see the lights of Paris. And even Athelstan's getting in on it. He's saying, yes, the walls were high. Such a vision, Judith. Such a vision.
He says he had been there with Emperor Charlemagne. He had passed through France while coming back from Rome. Athelstan says, yes, I've been there before too. When I first saw it, it was unbelievable. The biggest city I've ever seen with walls, huge walls. It was magnificent, right next to the river.
Now, I want to call Athelstan down here for being... I want to call him out right now. I'm calling him out in this entire episode.
The insane woman next to me river.
But Athelstan is a major dick tease in this episode. He is totally waving it in her face all episode. He is he knows she doesn't want. He's like, don't worry, you're not doing anything bad. He's in full seduction mode with this girl, and he's got her wrapped around his.
He told her last week. He says, look, listen, I'm not a priest.
Yeah, stay away from me. And
I'm not a priest.
He's running a game. Like I'm not saying he doesn't care about her. I think it's based on love, but he's like subconsciously running a game on her.
The little friar needs to dip in the holy water. That's all. He's not running a game.
He's feeling his Viking juices.
He wants his Viking juices, yeah.
No, I hear you, but
he wants her to feel the Viking juices.
Then why isn't he just taking her when he has the opportunity? He's like giving her counsel and flirting with her.
Well, because he's a guilty Catholic.
So he's playing a game.
He's just torn.
I think he's playing. Fuck him.
They're both torn.
No,
he doesn't want her to do anything she doesn't want to do. He's not a rapist Viking.
I know, but he's messing with her mind, and I feel bad for this girl.
Messing with her mind. He wants a piece. He wants a piece.
Then just take it, because she's.
Yeah, he did. And put more wine in her cup.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's preying on. He's pouring more wine, falls her out, being like, "You're not doing anything wrong. Don't worry."
When in Rome, right? We're in a bathhouse. Come on. He's just this on. He's like, every time I got in a bathhouse, I had to suck a priest's cock. All right, so there are no priests here except me, baby. Remember? Come on. So the king and Lagatha start making out a bit as he's feeding her wine, and she runs off, being like, "This is wrong." He comes out after her and tells her, "Listen, nothing's happened," and I thought they were going to do it in the locker room. I thought it was on. I thought it was on right there. And she says, "Listen, that's the issue. I want something to happen. You didn't make your move. Why didn't you make your move?" Right? She's like, but, and then he basically goes into the whole, "Well, don't worry, you haven't done anything. You're faithful to your husband." And she's like, "Listen, man, you don't get it. I want to be bad. I want you to do it." And he says, "It's all good. You've never done anything." And she goes, yeah, she basically says, I was almost going to do it right there in front of my fucking husband's father. And no, I can't do that in front of him. They'll kill me. That's just what he wants, to kill me, probably. That's probably part of his agenda. And right. So why don't we go in the other room here and bang one out real quick? Is what Athelstan should have said. We won't be in front of them. But no, he doesn't. He doesn't have enough game, and as Joe said, he's conflicted or playing a game, whatever we wanted to title this as. And he says, and she says, I'm so tired. I'm tired. Giving him again an opportunity to be like, "I'll walk you to your room," and he goes, "I'll say a prayer for you. You go," and she walks off. He just should have showed her a meme of himself that said, "I ain't trying to hear that." So, speaking of not trying to hear anything but boning, we go back to Ecbert and Lagatha, who they're playing underwater sports. Getting it on real quick. They're kissing. They're already at it. They're doing it. It's happening. It's doing it. Okay, so it's happening on the History Channel. People are doing it on the History Channel. So we go to Ragnar and Floki and looking at Tornstein's dead body. We talked about the scene a lot, so I'll just go quickly through it. Floki says it's all Ragnar's fault that he died for
for something that he didn't want, a hill he didn't want, something that meant nothing. He died a pointless death. How many more must die for your Christians? Or have you already left us, Ragnar? Is this priest, this Athelstan, that's messing with your heads? Even though he... Shut up, Floki. That's the one thing that pissed me off. They threw that in there, too. That's doing this. And he said, we're here under an English sky, losing people in the name of Jesus. Ragnar says, we are all fated to die, but it's our job to do what we please before we die. I did not force you. You chose to be here. My heart's as heavy as yours is for Tornstein, but I will meet him soon. And you, Floki, I'm throwing in a fuck. You shut your fucking face. And, yeah. Floki needs to shut his fucking face, or Ragnar's gonna kick the piss out of him.
That's when Rollo comes over.
Yep.
You gotta come quick. Bjorn needs you.
Yep, and we cut the commercial break as Floki closes Tornstein's eyes, who's hurting because his friend's dead. So you do feel a little bad for him. So Bjorn is not happy. His girl is alive, but we got a question from Rachel, a comment. She should have taken a page out of Lagatha's page book. Yeah, she should have. She should have made the move, but she is too conflicted to kind of make the initial move. She needs him to do it, I think. She needs Athelstan to do it, to make that move for her, to jump off that rope, or her husband needs to die. One of the two needs to happen. So Bjorn says it's his fault for not protecting her. Ragnar says that's what a shield's for. We fight, and it's the Game of Thrones. You either win or you die. Right. And do you understand? And he said, I understand. We fight, and that's how we win. We fight, we win, we die. And then he drops the bomb and says, by the way, Ragnar, Dad, she's with Kid. And Ragnar just fucking loses it. You let her come, he slaps him across the face and says, she will probably die with your child in her belly, and it'll be your fault because you have the strength of a man but the will of a little girl. I can't believe you're my son. I can't even look at you. And then he walks off. It was just fucking, hey man, what did you think of that, Joe? Because I
thought it was awesome. I was like, yeah, especially because what's he fucking say? Like, he dips out of the tent for a second, and Bjorn's like, did you see her face? And it's like, yeah, that's where she took all the damage, but it almost seemed more like her pretty face is fucked up and not, oh my god, she might die.
Yeah.
Oh my god, my child is in there. It was, oh my god, her face, and oh yeah, I might have a child in there.
Her face, Dad. Her face. Oh,
right.
We have a kid too. So Rollo says, I don't think she will die. She wants to live, and she has a lot to live for. As he comforts him, and she don't let her hear you weep, because she may she needs a strong man, and she needs to hear your strength and your support to make it back, because right now she's right at the gates to sitting at the table with Odin, and you need to make sure she realizes she has a lot to come back for.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed he even saved her in the first place at that point.
Mercy kill?
Yeah, let it like.
So if her face is
necessarily mercy kill, but Viking's about to die in battle. Isn't that what, like, glorious death for her would have been?
But it's not a glorious death for the son.
We're not Vikings, sweetheart.
Buggard and Quenforth are like walking up to Ragnar after this conversation and making an apology, and so he's like, "Sorry, I fought against you. I was led by evil." And oh my God, this guy. So Ragnar grabs him and headbutts him, and then when he's on the ground with a black eye from the headbutt.
Oh, is that what it was? I looked away for a half a second. I thought he punched him in the eye.
I thought it was a headbutt. I kind of had my head down taking notes.
It was a headbutt? Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was a headbutt.
And he dropped. Like right down to the ground.
Dropped,
yeah, I did catch the great face by Ragnar, Travis.
Yeah. He gave him a classic Ragnar glare.
Yeah, you're forgiven, and he walks off.
Yeah, you're forgiven. I forgive you. And Quenforth tells his ass to get up, and she picks him up, and she looked like she liked it a little bit. She didn't mind seeing her brother get hit right there. So, okay. So we go to Lagatha the priest doing work as Ecbert comes to tell them that they won the battle, and Ragnar and his son and her son are all well and safe. They offer her to stay, or they offer them to stay, and the king and Judith in their company to watch the dinner, the things that they're going to do in the evening. And the king says, yeah, we'll stay, and his men are like, sure you want to stay or we don't want to stay? And the king's like, no, I'm the king, it's good to be the king, I'm staying.
Yeah, let's check out the other culture. See, he's like,
Vegan stuff.
yeah. I mean, he's open to it. He knows there's history to it, even on the island that they all live at. Like, I think he's very intrigued at it all until he actually witnesses it, and then it turns into, wow, they actually really are savages.
Yeah, it's like some guy that has some weird, sick fantasy in his head because he watches films about it or something, or fantasizes about it, then he does it for real life. He's like, I don't want to do this in real life. I just want to fantasize about it.
Right.
And it was kind of a similar situation. I think I'm not saying he didn't enjoy being with her, but I think it's like he wanted to dance on that edge and be like, whatever, the pagans, it's just bullshit. Or not, it's just bullshit, but they have their thing, we have our thing. It's not weird that, there's not much different. Or whatever, just dance that line and be slightly dip his wick in it a little bit. But this becomes a little bit too real in a second. Excuse me, as that weird burp comes out of me. As we see the dock and a fisherman that can't believe what he caught, and this guy's the most insensitive son of a bitch I've ever met. They carry in the body of 2 children dead, and he found them. And Raud and Thoros, the world will never see their like again. The man says they have no marks, they must have drowned.
Those 2 different women came out, so it was children from
different
two
children. Two different kids from 2 different families.
Well, I don't know how long has it been, because when he left, he had 2 different women pregnant.
Oh no, those kids were those weren't like children. No, because
those were weird.
The baby is still a baby.
Okay.
Right, they were random.
Those were like
random children from around town is what they were. And the man says that they had no marks, they must have drowned. Someone says, how is it possible they were so far out to sea? And this is when this guy gets wicked insensitive. He's like, the nets were so heavy, like I caught a whale. Like he's saying it like he's so proud of himself. The nets were heavy, I thought I had a whale.
I'm a great fisherman.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a great fisherman. I got these kids in my fishing net. It's so wonderful. And Siggy just walks away pissed because she and bumps into the mysterious stranger who looks at her strange. Like,
well, if you're a stranger in town and 2 children are, found in the middle of wherever, ocean, woods, or whatever, they're looking at you. Yeah.
Okay. Whatever he did exactly, we're not sure yet, but do we have any doubt it was him? Of course it was him.
Well, no, of course you have to have doubt it was him, because there are people who, like, who are the people in Kattegat waiting for strangers to roll through so they can kidnap one of the children down the street and be like, hey, it must have been him.
Yeah.
I know. I think we can at least say with 85% certainty it's probably him.
Yeah.
It's his dark magic.
Yeah, it's his dark magic. Exactly, it's blood magic that he needs to kill children to save children or something like that. It's for I don't know. It's for Aslog's kid and Ragnar's son.
Is he gonna steal the kid?
I don't know. It depends where he's coming from. Is he a spy from the other group, or is he a different entity altogether? Something more supernatural that's going to happen on the show.
Ugh.
I don't know. I mean, it's just interesting to see where they're going to go with it, because it's already interesting with the prophecy and him showing up and everything. So there, as she says later, and we'll get into this in a second. So we go to a big food celebration, and it's a pagan ritual as the soldiers and the princess are kind of freaked out as the ritual starts, and all of Lagatha's kind of leading the chant, and they're doing this big chant with the big cow on an altar, and all the English are kind of looking at it like they're watching a horror movie, like, ooh, ooh. Princess Judith is like holding on to Athelstan, like, oh my god, Athelstan's just smiling, like just has this smirk on his face, like, now all these bastards, like, he's getting some morbid, like, I'm sorry, I just read it, I could be reading.
I think he thinks it's beautiful.
he thinks it's beautiful that they're cross-pollen because people can start to feel how he feels, where he feels in the middle and has appreciation for both sides.
Right. I think that, but I also think he thinks the ceremony in and of itself is also beautiful.
Yep, I agree with you absolutely, and
as brutal as it is, chopping the head off a cow with your axe and pouring blood all over the matron.
They seem to do it quick and mercifully.
Yeah. It's and at the time there weren't companies doing it in mass excess, so like killing one cow isn't as big of a deal in a ritualistic sort of setting. Like I doubt Pete is gonna pick at the Viking show. Or actually, now that I said that, watch the podcast. Again, I'm going to institute change. Someone from Pete is going to watch this and be like, you know what? This is inappropriate that Vikings did this and even simulated it. So as we see herder people, they try to get English. As Joe said, she cuts off the head of the cow, and it's a Sicilian message. Cows' heads on the floor, like it's a Viking message. I fucked you. And I fucks him, and she like rubs blood on herself, going, "Yeah, bitch. Yeah, bitch. You're mine." I got that, and it's like she just took his balls out of her pocket and she put it around her neck on a chain and said, "Yeah, you know what? I got it. I got that ass, and that's what I wanted." And one man says to the king, that these pagans need to renounce their gods and their hedonistic ways, or they can't stay here. And for the first time, Ecbert doesn't have a snappy retort of like, "Fuck you, I'm the king." He looks like he agrees and he's scared, is what he looks like.
He does look scared.
Super scared. So then we go to and I kind of thought, just for one minor criticism of the episode, I kind of wish they ended on that scene instead of the scene that they ended on. I wish it was flipped around and they did the seer scene that we're about to go into, or cut this scene in half a little bit. Just so I would have liked to see the last image of the blood and all of that, and have that be the thing carrying into the next episode, rather than the scene of which I liked. I thought it was a good scene with Siggy and the seer. I always like when they're together. But I was so high from the scene before that I wasn't in the right mindset for this scene at this point, if that makes sense. I thought it was done awesome and acted well between the two of them. So the seer and Siggy's asking about the stranger. She thinks that he might have some kind of magic because all three women had the same dream about him, and he helped Ivar's pain, and the baby went to sleep. He says if he does have a power, it seems he's putting it to good use. And she says 2 young boys died, and she thinks it's connected to the death. And the seer says, "I don't know. Why would you think that?" And he says, she said, "Maybe the gods have told you something." And he says, "What I've foreseen, they have told me nothing. I've foreseen nothing." He goes on a big rant about it, but he says, "I've seen nothing." She says, "Well, we've all dreamed that you were tied, and you haven't seen this? We've all dreamed that you were tied up and bleeding, and you couldn't move, and so no one can help us." And he says, "If it is true, no one can help you," as he holds her hand. And he realizes that she, in my mind, she just gave him a vision of his own death by the hands of the stranger. That the stranger's going to kill the seer at some point. At least that's the vibe I got from that final scene.
Yeah.
But, I mean, and that's how the episode ends.
I couldn't, I don't know what to make of it, so...
Yeah, Miles, exactly. Kind of like the red wedding. It was the red dinner. The red dinner time. You don't know what to make of it, Joe?
Yeah. I didn't. You know. She's like, yeah. I was like, nobody could help. Nobody could help us. And the seer's like, yeah. I know that. Nobody can help you. Now pay me. Lick my hand.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like a very optimistic seer, so that's what makes him a good one, because he usually tells relative. He's like the guy in the Mystery Man movie with Ben Stiller, where he says everything backwards. Yes, will we be safe? Safe we never are. All you keep doing is flipping things around and saying them backwards to make them sound intelligent. Damn bastard. But that's where our episode ends, leading into next week of Vikings. It was a really fun episode. Joe, I didn't really get a chance because I kept talking about, were you as put off by the 3 women, the dreams in the segment with the stranger in this episode?
Eastwick stuff, yeah. but I like that actor and I like what he did. So, I mean, here's the thing: they're showing what's going on back at home, but unfortunately, they're giving us fluff drama crap instead of showing us life back home. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Instead of
they're showing us the raiding and the warring and the traveling, but like, why aren't they showing us, you know, how
Playing in the
fucking
fields.
bitchin' life, how hard life was for everybody else that was left behind too.
with the other any soldiers, they could be doing more interesting stuff with Lagatha's group trying to attack them and take over that town as well, or something like that. And maybe they will go in that direction as the season goes.
Well, someone tried that once, remember?
Yeah, but there was a lot other people there. There was actually.
Yeah, Agatha came and saved them.
It's true. It's true. But they're not in any position. Or I guess right now Ragnar's battle's over. What's Ragnar going to do now? Come home. It's about time to come home for a recharge.
Yeah, probably in an episode or two.
Yeah, next episode will be one more over there, and then probably head home at some point.
Yeah.
So everyone, I guess this is a good place to end. Thank you for those that joined us, especially our first-time listeners tonight, Miles, and I'd like to thank Rachel as well, Eeyore, 1978 that was in here earlier, and a couple other people that jumped in that said they will be checking us out at a later date. Really appreciate that. Beatrax. We'd love to hear what you guys, whenever you watch this episode, what you thought of this episode of Vikings. And if you haven't already and gotten this far in the video, please hit that subscribe button. And you can reach me if you have any email questions at igotissuesman@gmail.com. You can tweet at Joe at DirtyLocks, and you can tweet at igotissuesman. And for all of your comic book needs and anything like that you want to check out, Joe is a part of a really awesome website and an online store that does comic books and collectible stuff. Please check out g4comicsetc.com. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Awesome. I did that right. Bam. Or you can freeze frame on the video at some point and look under Joe's name, and it's also in the description box below. You can find all sorts of information like how to join the Google Plus community, how you can find us on Facebook, how you can find us on Twitter. All that information is in the box below. So look inside our boxes. What's in the box, Joe? Our information is in the
What's in the box?
Is in the goddamn motherfucking box, Joe.
What's in the box? Oh, what's
Miles,
in the box?
seriously, thank you so much for joining us for the first time live. We really do appreciate all of our the people that get to check it out, watch us live, and all the people that get to comment on us during the week and interact with you guys. Yo. We should be back on Saturday late night evening for a little bit of Game of Thrones episode 4. So I'm just about ready for that. I started my rewatch today and I'm about halfway through. I had to pause for reasons, so we'll get into that soon as well. So everyone, thank you so much for checking out the show tonight. We will be back on Saturday, and if things don't work out for Game of Thrones, we will definitely be back Sunday to talk about some more Walking Dead. So everybody, have a good night.
Peace.